Hi there, welcome to the archives. So today it's Dr. D. Today I wanted to do a couple things. As I was pulling this up, I was thinking about yesterday, I was talking to some people about shock therapy, where they put the electric therapy that was used particularly on a lot of women. White women we're talking about specifically. I don't know what it was like in other communities, but some of the experiences were women, mothers who had been institutionalized, likely for postpartum depression, but they didn't know about postpartum depression or what to do with postpartum depression. And so we're talking about how some women, there's lived experience in the room of folks whose loved ones were institutionalized and put in mental institutes, receive shock therapy. And as we were having the conversation, I was thinking, is that what's still happening right now with the LGBTQ community through conversion therapy? So that's what I was pulling up to check now. It says conversion therapy is a pseudoscientific practice, this is Wikipedia, of attempting to change an individual's sexual orientation, romantic orientation, gender identity, or gender expression to align with heterosexual cisgender norms. Conversion therapy is ineffective at changing a person's sexual orientation or gender identity and frequently causes significant long-term psychological harm. The position of evidence-based medicine and clinical guidance is that sexualities like homosexuality and bisexuality, as well as gender variance, are natural and healthy aspects of human sexuality and gender identity. And that's gotten me thinking about how in the church, at least as I was growing up within the Catholic Church, you're told that it's unnatural, right? That is what it is. It's unnatural. You don't see it in nature. And I've been watching A Perfect Planet. And in it, it reminds me of how queer nature is. Which is why I personally have the seahorse, and I love the seahorse, because they'll tell you men having babies is unnatural, and then you look at the seahorse life, and the seahorse is the one and you're just like, they're literally shooting out the babies, the man. Here I learned that there's a particular type of penguins. I don't know if all penguins are like that, but there's a specific type of penguins here where the male penguin is the one that sits and waits to hatch the egg. And the female penguin is the one that goes out to sea hunting to bring food home to her chicks, or whatever they're called, the penguins, the baby penguins. And by the time she gets back, the egg has opened and the newborn is there. But like you see in nature, that there's a lot of queerness. Worms, for instance, don't have a gender from my understanding, or they have two genders. So that was that was where my mind went as I came to do the video. But along with that, I've also been thinking about brainwashing, because I was wondering, and I have to check, and I don't know the research, so don't hold me, but is shock therapy, the whole point of it is a kind of like a form of brainwashing? I don't know exactly what that does, but I've been thinking about brainwashing because it's been coming up a lot within this like Christians versus everybody conversation, right? And the idea is, some people are saying, like I saw a video recently where Christian delegation was at the Knesset in Israel, and they were apologizing for not having come to Israel's aid sooner, right? They were repenting for their sins, and I couldn't tell if it was a parody or satire or not. I think I saw it on a Thursday or Friday, and I was like, I thought it was Saturday Night Live clip dropping for, like, it was a promotion for Saturday Night Live, because that's how unreal it looked like. And some of the comments were brainwashing came up, right? And I think sometimes when we say brainwashing, people think it's like sci-fi, and it is, and it has been shown in sci-fi. I have been watching Aquaman, and I have to revisit it, but it reminds me, because brainwashing comes up in this, where people are literally brainwashed, and there's mind control, It's more so mind control that comes up in Aquaman, right? And some of the ways in which we hide these things as sci-fi, but I'm always curious to know, like, especially through psychology and through shock therapy and such, we know that even with like AI hallucinations and all of that kind of stuff, people got offended when I said AI is not your friend, even if, including for disabled folks who use it as a tool like myself. It absolutely can help me out. But also, is that a form of laziness? Could I have done what I continue to do? Yes, I think both. But we get so upset when we hear the word lazy because we use lazy as a pejorative. Is to make fun of people, right? And so when people say it's lazy, we feel so offended. When people say like, oh my God, AI is it, like they get really, really offended. But like the more I watch A Perfect Planet, the more guilty and shameful I feel for participating in AI because I know what it's doing to the planet. And not only that, but like even humans, not just animal life. I've been seeing videos of people living near the firms, what are they called? The places, what is the word they call them? I can't think of it right now. Where they do the bases, where they set it all up. There's a word for it. I can't think of it right now. But like their tap water is brown. It's dirty. So like I can't be telling people to use AI every day and for everything when you could read a book and or go to the library for free. All of these DVDs I have are from the library for free. So when people tell you elitism, yes, but like, no, you too can have access to this for free. That's why I put a lot of my resources. I'm literally reading books and sharing them for free because I myself don't like elitism. You can get so much for free and people don't like or want to learn, or maybe they, for whatever reason, but now they have to shame you for learning and call it elitism. I'm so sorry. I love to learn. Which brings me to a story I wrote yesterday in one of my writing groups or on Monday, whatever day it was, where I was beefing with the maps because I know as a geography girly, like I brought out again my first book of the picture atlas. This is where I learned a lot about geography, about the world, right? And when I grew up, like most people, I thought that Africa, well, this one is a little bit more realistic, was one of the smallest continents, and everybody, like, you can't even see Africa there. See, this used to really piss me off about this book. I already, as a little kid, probably 10 years old, I was like, that's racist. Why is Africa in the middle where you can't see its fullness? But like, North America is a little bit more accurate there. This is a map I grew up with. You see where it says Asia and Europe. A vast majority of that is Russia. And the book, see how Australia looks a little bit more normal? Usually Australia looks like way too perfect in size. But like because remember, Earth is not flat. I know some of you still think the Earth is flat, but it's definitely not flat. But I grew up with this map, right? And I think this is a little, so even me seeing the map I saw yesterday, immediately I saw so many things wrong with it because it didn't look like this. Okay? And even this, I don't know if it was completely right, but the whole point from yesterday was, what the story I wrote was about a character who is in a writing group and she's just already presented her piece. She's gotten her feedback. She's listening to somebody else share their piece, and she notices a map on the wall, and it's like, I don't even know what I wrote. It's just the most wrongest map to her. And she uses that language specifically. Hold on 1 second. So I can share an excerpt from what I wrote. Basically, she's sitting in the library. Casey had presented her story already. A geography lover, Casey had observed many maps in her lifetime. So her 41-year-old brain could detect something was very odd about this particular map. Why was the continent of Africa so small? She already knew racist cartographers had fibbed about the continent's smallness. The prompt for this one was to talk about a white lie, either a white lie you've seen or fibbing or white lies. So this is where my mind went with the prompt. We had 10 minutes to write this. Racist cartographers had fibbed about the continent's smallness, one of many lies told about Africa. But this map was the most wrongest map she'd ever seen. Russia was 2 or 3 times the size of Africa. Lies. Russia fits in Africa. That's how big Africa is. So how is Russia bigger than Africa? This must be Russian propaganda, because ain't no way Russia is twice 0.5 the size of Africa. She pulled out her phone and typed, "How big is Russia compared to Africa?" Russia is approximately 17 million square kilometers, while Africa is approximately 30 million square kilometers, making Africa 78% larger than Russia. The answer typed back. And here was this map spewing misinformation. Africa looking like the smallest, even comparison to a country, never mind another continent, because Russia is the largest country in the world. I'm going to give it that. Russia is the largest country in the world. But Africa is not a country. You guys refuse to process that Africa is a continent with 54 African nations? 57 African nations? Something like that. It has almost 60 countries. Africa is not a country. It is a continent with countries in it. You're comparing a continent with a country. Russia is a country in Europe, Eurasia, the middle of the border there. That is a continent. Russia is a country. You're comparing a country to a continent and thinking a country is bigger than a continent with over 50, how many African countries are there? My geography is not great right now. I'm watching West Side Story, and I couldn't even name the flag, and it literally said Puerto Rico, and I'm still like, that's not Puerto Rico's flag. So my geography is not great, okay? But anyways, in comparison to Africa, and also America, I noticed was really small. I was like, this is Russian propaganda for sure. Was this going on during the Cold War? Because they made America so small and Russia is so big. And like, I'm here for that pettiness, but just leave me and mine out of it. Leave Africa out of this. If you want to make the America look small, you do that. Leave us out of it, because tell the truth about us. Put some respect on our name. Africa is a huge continent. Anyway, so that was her thing. Casey tried to focus on the writer reading their work as she fought internally against a racist system that couldn't even tell the truth about Africa or give it the respect it deserved. Thank God she knew better than to believe the propaganda. So that was the story I wrote about that. And it's been making me think about things we're told are true. That's just always how it's been, right? And the information that we tell over it, the same map over and over. You're seeing this map, which is wrong. It's wrong, but it's fed as a truth. Why? Because, well, this is just how it's always been. No, it's a lie. So then people think that this is a truth. This is what I've seen. Russia must be bigger than Africa. Who does this black woman, this DEI, what do you know about maps? I've been studying maps since, when was this published? 1992. I was 7 years old. Don't come talk to me about maps. But people think they can because the map says that Russia is bigger. And so they're so confident that you are wrong. You must be the wrong one. I can't wait for you to pull up the answer and for Google to tell you that Russia is the biggest continent. It's not a country, it's a country. I know that Russia is the biggest country, but Russia is not the biggest continent. It's not even a continent. So they hate to see you right, but I am right. So in this book, a half an inch is the same as 115 miles. So if we go to the section on Eastern Europe and North Asia. This huge area is divided into Europe and Asia by the Ural Mountains. Most people live in the West. They work on farmers. I just recently learned in The Perfect Planet, I learned about the camels and the wild horses in Mongolia. I don't remember what it's called again right now. My memory's not great. something desert. Goji Desert. Is it the Goji Desert? I just learned about the Goji Desert in Mongolia, and it came up this week, and I was so happy that I knew about it, and like that it was extinct, and like they are just working on it's so cold up there. It's like -50, and I remember thinking like I could not sleep out there. But anyways, I just learned about Mongolia and the Goji Desert. But here you can see that like Russia is quite massive. But like that was never my argument. My argument was never, is Russia a big country? Russia is the largest country. I'm not ignorant. I know that. But Russia is not bigger than Africa. You know what I'm saying? That's what they don't want you to hear. But like always puts a name. Look at her. She's a baddest girl. What are you talking about? I put the continent of Africa on my rib because that's the only rib I came from. I don't, Adam who? Right here. She's tatted for life. Because this is who I am loyal to, always, first and foremost. Try to talk in my ears about Russia being bigger than her. I'm abundant because this is the continent I come from. We are big. We've got snow. We've got savanna. We've got desert. The biggest rainforest. You guys talk about the Amazon. Don't forget that the Congo also has rainforests. Waterfalls for days. Put some respect on Africa's name. So here it actually says that the area is 11 million square miles. So that's on square kilometers. But 11 decimal, comma 6 over 11.6 million square feet. There's an 11 and then 6 digits after. 11,674,200 square mile. Google, when I saw it, it was square kilometers, okay? It has 53 African countries here. I think it's now 54 or 57 or something like that. Don't hold me again. I'm not doing great. The largest country in Africa at this time is Sudan, okay? Here, Sudan was 1. Now, since this was published, Sudan is 2. There's South Sudan, North Sudan, Khartoum, Juba, different capitals. But again, Khartoum hasn't always been the capital of Sudan. So Sudan is the biggest country here. The longest river in Africa is the River Nile. It is the longest river in the world. The largest lake is Victoria. And that is in, what is that, between Tanzania and it goes a little bit into Uganda and Kenya a little bit, okay? It's a huge, so that's Lake Victoria, and Mount Kilimanjaro is the highest mountain in Africa. You can get oil, fruits, cocoa, coffee, peanuts, cotton, palm oil, rubber, copper, diamonds. The Sahara is the biggest desert, that's us. The Great Rift Valley, the most gorgeous place on earth, that's us. So that's all I wanted to say, is put some respect on Africa's name. Shock therapy is still happening. It's just now it's happening to the LGBT community. And that's all from me for now. I'll be back.